Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Deal or Bust, where SaaS founders come to sell their companies live. If we haven't met, my name is Nathan Lacka, and we are very much live. It is 11 a.m. Pacific time here on August 13th. I got out of Austin. I'm now in LA for a bit, enjoying the much better weather, but we have a great show for you guys today. Now, if you're just joining and you have no idea what this is, you should jump in the chat, say hello. I see Xavi Blaza just said hello. Xavi, good to see you. You can jump in the chat. We're going to be live. And how this is going to work is we're going to meet a SaaS founder who's looking to sell his company if he can get the right price. I've invited on 4 buyers, and they're going to compete for a deal. They'll value the company. They'll ask tough questions. We'll bring in 2 experts as well. It's going to be a great show. And if this is your first time watching, I want you guys to see what you missed last week. So this is what happened last week. We saw Price to Spy got a $1.12 million deal for 75% of his company. It was Misha. So if you want to catch this episode, you can go check it out on our YouTube channel. That was last week's. It was quite a finale, a lot of fun there. But in the meantime, again, I want you guys to understand, again, this is very much going to be engaged and it's important that we engage with you guys in the comments. You guys are going to see the profit and loss statement from the founder. You're going to see strategies and you're going to have questions. And it's very cool because if you engage, I can add you just like this. Check this out. Richard, there you go, man. Richard says, hey, Nathan, love the show. Richard, so thrilled that you're here. Mubs is in the house, my partner on Founder Path. Jeff Gates, good to see you, Jeff. Who else? John is in the house. Hey, John, how are you, man? Good to see you. So again, you guys can comment, and just like that, I can put your comment up here on the screen. Now, those of you just tuning in, again, if you're curious sort of what the show is like, here's what folks said about last week's show. We had Clifton saying, hey, this was a great show. It's like Shark Tank, but raw. We had Ebenezer saying, this is like the next Shark Tank. It's great. And we had Brian saying, this is like amazing. For entrepreneurs and founders, you've got to watch. So again, we've got a great show today. Our 2 experts are Jaco from Winning by Design, who you'll hear from in a bit. And we've got Mark Brommel first on the show with Content Elect, which we'll jump into both of them. They will advise the founder on growth strategies and help them think about the potential offers they get from the buyers. So who are the buyers today? Well, here's who we've got. We've got Sujan Patel. We're going to meet the buyers here in about 5 minutes. We've got Sujan from Ramp Ventures, 7 companies acquired. We've got Preston Tucker from PMT Ventures. Preston was inside of Amazon, running a 9-figure business internal at Amazon before jumping out and launching PMT Ventures, targeting $100 to $2 million enterprise B2B SaaS companies. We've got Akil Jabber, who is an investment director at Horizon Capital. And lastly, I brought on a strategic today. I would consider Michael a strategic. Michael is head of corporate development at a company called Later.com, which is a much larger company in the Hootsuite buffer space and is potentially a great strategic fit for the founder we have on today in terms of the space they're in. So I'll meet them here in a second. But first, guys, I just want to say hello to everyone. Can you guys hear me clearly? Can you see me? Let me just say hello to folks in the chat. If you're just joining, let me know in the chat where you're joining from and if you're a founder or an investor. If you're a founder or if you're looking to buy your own SaaS company. All right. Kirill said, natural SaaS killer, good stuff. Deepash, good to see you. Looking forward to a crazy show. Thanks for coming, man. Lee Lavelle says, popcorn is ready. Let's rock and roll. I was expecting 50 people to be here at the start. I think we've got like 80 people watching live. So we love that. Typically about 1,000 people end up watching the show when we're live, and then 10,000 watching the first 24 to 48 hours after we end. So we've got a great show today. This founder, you guys saw it. I'll tease you again here real quick. This founder, this is their P&L. You can quickly see top line revenue each month. You can sort of see expenses here. We're going to dive into it. He's doing $9,000 or $10,000 a month now in revenue, playing in a very, very interesting space. So let's not waste more time. I want to go ahead and bring on our founder today. Jörg, welcome to Deal or Bust.
Thanks, Nathan. Glad to be here.
All right, let me move to the power slide here. So the company is called Prepper. Is that right? What's the URL so people can follow along?
URL is prepper.com. So it's PREPPR.
PREPPR. And so we're going to spend the next 4 minutes explaining the product. So floor is yours, Jörg. What do you guys do and what do people pay you for?
What we're doing is we are a social media scheduling solution for Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So Prepper schedules and plans content ahead of time for companies. And that's it, basically. It's a visual planning plus that's the product.
That's great. So if people want to follow along, Darwin will put the link in the chat, but it's preppr.com, social media scheduling. And give some background here. When did you launch the company? What year?
We launched a company in 2018. October 2018, we started out with Prepper and started out with scheduling only on Instagram and later added Facebook and Twitter. That was this year.
So Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And last year, about how much revenue did you do?
We did around $96,000 in annual revenue.
Okay, and last month, about how much did you do so we can calculate run rate?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure. Last month, how much did you do so we can calculate run rate?
Last month we had about 10,000 net revenue in July.
Okay, so Jörg, before we bring on the buyers, because that's where things obviously get fun, give us some context just personally where you're at. Are you running this solo yourself? What's the team look like? And why are you looking for a deal today?
The team consists of 3 people, myself and two engineers, Eric and Ilko. They are doing the technical, the engineering stuff. I'm doing the growth and the administration, financial part of it. So we do this as a side project right now between the 3 of us, and we want to sell because we're also active in some other areas at this point.
And so would you, if you sell the company today live here on the show, would you stick with the company for a period of time, or do you want to sell it and have it be a clean handoff?
It will be a clean handoff, but we're willing to give a certain time to hand things over. Okay,
very good. Let's talk real quick before I bring on the buyers. Is this accurate? You probably added some more customers since you sent me this slide.
We're around 642 now or so.
642, and we want to send a big thank you to the team at Andrew at Micro Acquire. If you're looking to sell your company, they're a great marketplace to do this. Andrew helped me get connected with Jörg and ultimately got him cast for the show. So be sure to check out microacquire.com. All right, Jörg, you ready to meet some of these buyers?
Absolutely, bring them on.
All right, let's meet our first buyer here. We've got Akil Jabber with Horizon. Akil, welcome to Deal or Bust, man.
Hey, Nathan. Congrats on the launch of Founder Path, and thanks to have me again.
Thanks. Yeah, we're super excited about it. So for people that have not watched an episode before, give us the quick download. What kinds of companies are you looking to buy?
Yeah, so we're looking for a SaaS company. Specifically, we like B2B based in North America or Europe, so either located in those locations. And we want businesses doing at least 150, 200K ARR would be ideal. So it looks like you're in that range and looks like a good company.
So Akil, wait, is this a deal breaker for you? Then he's about at 110,000 in MRR, or in ARR. Is that too small for you?
We can see how it goes. Yeah, if we can strike a deal, I think we'll make it work.
Okay, very good. Let's meet our next buyer. We've got, let me scroll down here. We've got Sujin with Ramp Ventures. Sujin, welcome back, man.
Hey, Nathan, thanks for having me.
Your arm's getting better.
I can move it. Yeah, no more brace.
I love that. All right. So again, the reason I love having you on the show is because you are sort of a hustler. You can get very creative with your deals. You've acquired 7 companies. Many people probably know you from Mailshake, but you've also done ones like Boyle and Norbert and other sort of email enrichment tools. Tell us what you're targeting. What kind of deals do you like?
Yeah, I mean, normally we play in the 500 to $1 million ARR range. This one, obviously it's smaller than we normally do, but we know the space fairly well. We have a couple properties in the social kind of media space, not necessarily competitors, but probably similar, some overlap in customers. So that's mainly why I'm interested.
Great.
Yeah, and we typically buy 1 or 2 companies a year, but this would kind of it's small enough to be kind of a tuck-in acquisition to something else.
That's great. All right, let's meet our third buyer here, Preston Tucker. Preston, welcome back to Deal or Bust, man.
Hey, Nathan. Thanks for having me again. Glad to be back.
All right. So of all the buyers, you're the one where it's like, I'm not quite sure what you did at Amazon, but I know it was big because you ended up leaving. You're sitting on some cash and you're running PMT Ventures. Correct. Give us some background on what you were doing at Amazon.
Yeah, I did a bunch of different stuff. So I spent 7 years there, started out in operations leadership. I launched a bunch of robotics warehouses and then moved into some global program roles, ran some software programs to rewrite some of the operating systems. So it's pretty fun, and worked on some global robotics scaling programs as well. And then started buying internet companies last year, and then moved into this full time raising capital right after I got back from traveling in Asia for a while. So it's been a fun ride.
Hey, Nathan,
I was muted that whole time. I was just saying I'm going to let Preston fix his and bring on our last buyer, Michael Tippett, who's from Later. Michael, welcome to Deal or Bust.
Great to be here, Nathan. Appreciate the invitation. Can you hear me okay?
So this is sort of the first time I've brought on someone that I think could be, I can, you sound great. This is the first time we've brought someone on who's really, I consider a strategic buyer. In the past, we've really had sort of micro private equity firms buying companies, but I knew we were having Jurgen from Prepper. I knew Later was also in this space because I had your guys' founder on, Matt, back on the show in 2016, and he articulated you guys had passed $50,000 a month in revenue at that point. I know you're much larger now because you have 160 employees. Help me understand how you guys think about M&A. Have you acquired any companies to date?
We haven't today. We're just starting off doing it. We've got some cash in the bank, so we want to put it to good use. We're looking for companies that are similar to ours and that they're SaaS focused, focused on SMBs. But we would look at buying a company for reasons other than just revenue or customers. We're also looking at talented teams. We're looking at technology as well as relationships. So interested to see what these guys have in terms of those other aspects. But yeah, we're just starting off in the acquisition side of things, but excited to be here.
Very good. All right, so we've got 4 buyers. We've got your guys. The next 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to focus on the buyers asking your questions related to product, and then we'll get into financials, things like burn, top line revenue, expenses, things of that nature. Then we'll bring on the experts, and then we'll have deal making mode, the last 10 minutes of the show. So you got 4 buyers here. You feel like they're all good fits for the company if they can make you the right offer?
I think there's some potential fit here indeed. I know Later from the space, and I know Sujia because I sometimes get emails from him when he wants to do some link building, I think.
Like, yeah. That's me. All right, guys, those of you, so buyers, prepare your product questions. We're going to go to you in a second, but I do just want to chat to all of you guys watching. We are live here on YouTube, 180 of you guys watching here live. And I just want to say, if you participate, if you have questions for Jurg, as this deal goes down, you can ask them in the chat right over there. I will bring them up on the screen. We'll get the questions asked just like this. So you can see here. Positive Creator said, Chad, I'm wondering if it's possible to do customer development via email. We can dive into some strategies like that. Moaz saying, hey, Nathan, again, any questions you guys have, feel free to put in the chat. We'll get them live. Let's go into buyer question mode again about product. And Akil, I'll go to you first. What product questions do you have for Jurg?
So the biggest question I've had, so we've looked at quite a few similar products in the last couple of years, maybe some of your competitors and looking to acquire it. The big risk that we've seen, what happened was they lost their Instagram API partnership access. How robust is that? Especially since you guys only started October 2018. Have you ever had any issues with Instagram or Facebook?
We have had some issues with Instagram. There's always a risk of getting cut off of the API. But what we see is actually the current API, the publishing API, isn't that strong. We know that Instagram is building a new API at this point, which will be more robust. But there's always a risk. But we're bringing business, we're bringing people into the ecosystem, so we think it's relative low risk.
Akil, how do you think about that risk? I mean, is that, the fact that you're building on another company can be a good thing and a bad thing, as long as the company likes you and their API is open and they're not charging for it. As a buyer, how do you assess that sort of risk in a company like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, right? Because I would say, how many of I would look at how many users are there specifically for Instagram. And then I would just calculate that back into our offer in case, I'm assuming if we lose that, our revenue would go down to 0. And if we did, how do we account for that?
Jurg, can you speak to that real quick? Of the 650 or so customers you have today, which tool are they scheduling the most content to? Is it Twitter, Instagram, Facebook? Which one?
No, it's Instagram, because from a historical point of view, we only had Instagram until December last year. I think we're now it was 100% Instagram. Now I think it's 90% Instagram. The rest is divided. It's mostly Facebook.
Okay. Sujin, let's go to you. Product questions.
Sorry, we're cut up.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
mentioned you launched new product. How's the adoption been of that? Are people continuing to kind of adopt that? Have you done anything different on the marketing front?
So the adoption for Twitter isn't that great. The best adoption is for Facebook running next to Instagram. Obviously, if Twitter is not that visually oriented, so that's why Facebook is doing much better than Twitter. But Instagram remains a very dominant channel for us. In terms of features, one of our features is feed previewing, where the people do really visual planning of their profile on Instagram. That has a really huge adoption to our product.
Michael, let's go to you real quick. You're very familiar with this problem because you have obviously your own tool and you have to constantly be checking in on these APIs. What product questions do you have for Jörg?
Yeah, my questions really concern kind of how you guys are positioning the product in relationship to competitors in the space and what the key value proposition and the value that you bring to your customers. How are you guys unique compared to others in the market?
Great question. What makes us unique is I think we're quite one of the first movers on with the visual planning. So where people start bringing in the aesthetic of their feed. The other one is the carousel posting, which is really a huge benefit within our platform. We don't see a lot of competitors offering that. And third is the type of customers we target. We target small agencies, girl bosses, and some web shops and solo entrepreneurs. So I think it's a bit we're not targeting the real big corporates with our program.
So you're very much an SMB focused shop then?
Having said that, it's for us important that we have a customer who has at least 3 or 4 social profiles running in our account, because that brings in quite a barrier of exit. So we see that the engagement and staying on is much better for companies that have more social profiles to manage.
Preston, let's jump over to you. Any product questions for Jörg? And Jörg, if you can, just so you don't make our whole audience throw up, try and stabilize whatever your computer is sitting on, moving constantly. Then we'll all get dizzy watching you. All right, go ahead, Preston, product questions.
Yeah, kind of what you were just hitting on there, Jörg. So if you're targeting agencies, do you also target kind of content creators? Just kind of want to get a feel for the customer mix, and then as an additional question to that, how are you acquiring your customer base right now? Is it just inbound leads, or do you do some semblance of outbound or paid traffic?
Okay,
or whatever it may be?
Quite a few questions to be honest. So for agencies, most of our agencies are let's say the social media agencies that manage and run the social profiles on behalf of their customers. And they use our platform to fill up the queue of the social profiles of their customers. We don't do a lot of marketing. We only do some organic stuff where we create a bit of content on our blog, and people find us via the let's say the organic channels. We do a bit of testing sometimes via AdWords, but that's it, basically it. And once per month we send out a newsletter.
You're going into your marketing expenses really quick. People see the P&L that you provided on the screen right now, and under expenses, about 7th from the bottom, we see your marketing line, where in any month you're spending between $3,000 and $5,000 on some different marketing tests. Can you just talk about what some of these tests are and which ones have worked or not worked?
So the stuff that we do on marketing is only AdWords over the last few months. We have been testing some advertising stuff on Facebook, where we wanted to target our audience. That didn't turn out quite well for us, so we stopped doing that. We only are doing AdWords campaigns at this point. That's what you see in the P&L. Normally we don't reach the 5,000 which we budgeted per month, but what we spend right now is only AdWords.
Only AdWords. Okay, great. Preston, any follow-up questions there on how he acquires customers?
No, that's good. Thanks.
Okay, great. Guys, any questions from the audience? Product-related questions, or Michael, anyone else? Sujin, Akil, do you guys have any follow-up product questions before we go over to the experts?
I just had a question about your philosophy regarding mobile versus web. What's your approach to that? Do you guys have a mobile app, and how frequently is it used, and what's the relationship between customer using web versus mobile, and what are your thoughts on that topic?
We have an app. It's an iOS app. We are still developing our Android app. I think out of the 640 paying customers, 140 are iOS paying users. So mobile is important for us, and especially adding the Android channel for Android platform would be much better for us as well to start offering that.
And your users are able to manage the platform just on mobile, or do they have to go to the web to do certain functions?
No, they can do everything on the web. Having said that, they can do certain things, but let's say all the basic functionality and features are also on iOS.
Great, thanks.
Michael, do you ask that question? I mean, does Later have that sort of functionality built where you've got a mobile option where people can plan and strategize this content already, or this potentially be sort of a tech acquisition for you guys?
We do. We're investing heavily in mobile right now, so we're looking at partners who can help provide expertise and technology on that front as well. So that would be something we'd be interested in looking at. But we have both iOS and Android support for our platform.
So just to summarize, and for all of you joining in, you're watching Deal or Bust. Prepper is a tool that helps companies post to social media outlets, specifically Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Instagram is their main use case. They've got 650 customers. They were launched in 2017 by Jörg and his team. Today, again, about 650 customers, did about $96,000 in revenue last year, on track to do about $110,000 this year. The company is profitable. He's on right now with 4 buyers looking to get a deal done. In about 2 minutes, we're going to bring in 2 experts in the space related to B2B SaaS sales and content to get their feedback. That'll give the buyers some time to just relax without having to be live and think about, do they want to make a real offer here? We'll then come back on 5 minutes after that and have the buyers say if they're in or if they're out. Do they want to make an offer on this company or not? If Jörg does get offers, there'll be a live negotiation, and ultimately Jörg will have to decide, does he get the deal that he wants, or will we bust and he'll go off and keep building the company like he's been doing it for the past 3 years? Those of you just joining in, want to welcome you. I see Big Money joining, John's script working, American Hacker joining, Darwin. I'm just realizing those are actually potentially spam posts, so just make sure we control those in the admin section. I know Michael is not a spam post. Michael is in the space saying, have you tried a free plan or just a 10-day trial? Jörg, before we go over to the experts, talk to us a little bit about Michael's question here. What is your pricing like today, and what's the funnel look like?
We have a couple of plans. Starts at $9 a month, and it goes up to $75 a month. It depends on how many social profiles you manage on our platform. Most are, let's say, the average user or average revenue per user is around $16. So most users have 2 profiles on it. But there are 4 plans. It's Selfie, Duo, The Boss, and Squad. It goes up to 10 social profiles, and after that, companies can start adding more social profiles to it if they like.
Michael, as you're thinking about growing later, obviously one strategy here is if you build a big customer base, you go buy products that you can obviously cross-sell to increase the ARPU per customer. And once you have 20,000 customers, adding $5 per customer per month becomes a big deal in terms of revenue growth. How much of your M&A strategy at Later is predicated on that ARPU expansion across the current base?
I would say it's not our primary focus. I think our primary focus right now would be on looking at companies that can expand our customer base. And so looking at the 600 customers these guys have, what the churn is on that, and just looking at the kind of average revenue of those users, and also how well they align with our customer base. So we're very much SMB focused. It sounds like you have an SMB focus, but you're also agency focused. We have many agencies that use our platform as well, but I think it would be more about looking at that customer base and also seeing how that customer base can grow, because that I think is one of the things I would be looking at in terms of an offer is Your growth seems relatively flat over the last year, and so do you have plans to grow, and what are those plans, and how do you see that looking in the next year or so?
Jörg, talk through that. What would you do to the company if you drove the growth yourself? Jörg, we can't hear you.
So yeah, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so the growth was quite flat. We saw beginning this year starting to grow a bit more. I think that for us it would mean spending more on content marketing to target and gain more organic traffic, because we see that converts the best. We need to start reach out to some influencer startup influencer marketing campaigns to acquire more customers. Obviously, we do this as a side project, so we have limited time also what you spend on growth. We know that launching an Android version would similar to the iOS app will bring us more growth as well. But yeah, we have an SMB focus, and we think that if we spend more on content marketing, we will get to more growth.
Yep. Talk to us a little bit. Michael asked about churn. Jörg, what's your churn look like today?
The revenue churn is about 6% per month, so that's based on our current user base.
And walk through, is that on a revenue basis or a logo basis?
No, that's a revenue base. The customer churn is around the same number, around 6%.
Yep. So Akil, going to you real quick, is 7% monthly churn, is that a deal breaker for you? Does that feel high or low or what?
Yeah, that's pretty high for us. We like to look at companies at least below 5%. Otherwise, we're spending too much time trying to acquire new customers.
Mm-hmm. Preston, what about on your end? Do you see churn as a major issue, or do you see it as an opportunity where you can come in, fix some of the onboarding, and potentially decrease churn?
Yeah, I mean, it always depends. It's kind of right on the cusp as well. To Akil's point, I'd be curious to notice how it's trended this year, as well as you said that growth had kind of stalled. I know the snapshot kind of looks like maybe the last 30 days or so. Was it 10 a few months ago and now it's trending down, or is it just kind of steady?
Yeah, so Jörg, address that real quick. I'm showing obviously your barometrics chart here. Back, in early July, you were at sort of 9%. Now in August, it looks like it's kind of significantly dropped. How has COVID affect your churn rate, and how did you get this 2% kind of increase? You've improved churn by 2% over the past 30 days. How'd you do it?
Yeah, what we see is that when COVID hit the markets, we saw especially the really smaller customers, let's say the one account customers with one social profiles, they immediately started canceling their plan. So the churn grew in that period for the smaller accounts. The bigger accounts stayed on, and what we see now as the market turns on a bit more relaxed, that we see that most of them started coming back that churned, and we did also some feature improvement and platform improvement that made customers stay on or come back.
Talk quickly about that improvement before we go over to our experts.
We had some issues with, for instance, with the carousel posting. We noticed that there was a really important feature for our customers, so we spent quite some work on that to improve that, the whole user experience around that, and we saw an uptick, straight away after we launched that to customers, because they asked quite a lot about this feature.
Very good. All right, guys, again, if you're just joining Adam, I see in the comments you are watching Jörg, the founder of Prepper, PREPPR.com, a social media posting tool, here talking to Akil, Preston, Sujin, and Michael about potentially selling his company here live. This is Shark Tank for SaaS, a new episode of Deal or Bust. Buyers, any last questions on product or metrics before I let you guys go off the feed and we bring in our experts?
I might have missed this. How many new trials do you get per month?
So, to give you a number of that, over the last 30 days, we had 1,033 new trials listed on Prepper. So that's around 1,000.
Cool.
So that's around 1,100 accounts are created per month, new accounts that go into a trial.
And what can you expect? Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
The conversion rate is 5.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, the conversion rate is 5.6%. So out of those 1,100, we had 62 new subscriptions in July. So it's around 5.6%.
And those would be monthly subscriptions, I'm assuming.
Let's say out of 10, 8 are monthly subscriptions and 2 are yearly subscriptions.
Great. Thanks.
Sujin, do you have any follow-up questions? You asked the trial question, 5% converting to paid, so 60 new customers, and about 80% of those are monthly, 20% annual upfront.
Is that fairly consistent in 2020, or is August significantly better than January?
It's significantly better in terms of new subscribers. So in let's say in January we were more around let's say 700 per month new subscribers. So we grew in the number of new free trials, but we didn't improve on the conversion rate itself.
Got it. And how much of that is coming from PPC or paid efforts?
None. Zero.
None. Okay.
No, zero.
Well, Jörg, so let me challenge you that real quick. I mean, you're spending $1,500 to $2,000 a month on paid ads. You wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't driving no new trials. You're saying the paid ads are driving no new trials?
According to our data, we do get new trials, but they don't convert. The ones that are converting are users from our organic channel and someone from our newsletter.
Sujin, as a buyer, is it a good or bad thing that conversions are happening on the organic thing? I mean, one way you could say, well, crap, we can't put money behind this to get ads because he hasn't proven it yet. On the other, he's getting organic conversions, and that's a nice thing to have.
I like it as a good thing. It means I can cut that spend and not have any downside.
Very good. All right, buyers, I'm going to let you guys pop off. So I'm removing you from the feed. This gives you some quiet time where you don't have to worry about being in front of the bright lights and the big camera to just sort of analyze the deck. You guys all got via email the P&L, so you should have that. So take 5-10 minutes. Think about if you want to make an offer or not. If you're just now tuning in, you are watching a new episode here on YouTube of Deal or Bust. We've got Jörg, a company called Prepper. He's just presented the products, numbers, churn, CAC, ARPU, growth, P&L, all that to these 4 buyers. We're now going to tune in and chat with the experts. The first expert I want to bring in is Jaco with Winning by Design. Jaco, welcome to Deal or Bust.
Great to be here. How are you?
Good to see you again. Now, Jörg, have you met Jaco before?
No, it sounds like a Dutch name, but I don't know him.
Okay, so Jaco, great guy because he is brought in by VC firms like Storm Ventures, right? And he essentially helps their portfolio companies just dominate the sales process, conversion rates, systems, you name it, he's done it. So Jaco, what do you think right now? I assume you got a chance to look at your sort of pricing page behind the scenes during the first part of the show. What's he doing well and where do you think he can improve?
Okay, so first things first, welcome. I'm going to, Jörg, nice to meet you. And as we say in Dutch, goedemiddag on your behalf. I'm from the southern part from the Netherlands. Okay. So, quick thing down here. What this to me is about is speed. And Jürgen may know it as well, or Jörg may know it as well, because the number one person that we have in the world is the fastest man. And that's right. Max Verstappen just came by as fast as he could. Our laboratory, the one that we support everyone. Okay. Your speed is what's going on down here, and I see something. Your website looks great. I like it. I can navigate, very visual, and so on. Your pricing, we can discuss. I would say bring some pricing experts from revenue from profit well in here in order to make sure you got it right. Here's what I want to know. You got 1,100 signups on the month of July.
Yep.
You convert 5.6 into approximately, you said 62 paying users. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
Okay. Of that, on average, those are 16 logos. Did I get that right for July?
Correct.
So on
60,
average,
60, huh?
60 logos. So on approximately, your subscription to logo rate is 1-to-1.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you churning, if I would advise the buyers, I would not look too much at your churn. And here's why. You are essentially acquiring some bad customers and they will churn. And so what you see what happened during COVID, you lost some of that customer. That's fine. In your business, you want to lose them quickly because that's normal. It's just in your sales process. What I want to know is how many of those buyers, of those 60, are you upgrading to 2 seats, to 3 seats, to 4 seats? What is your growth metric there?
Great question, but I don't know how many are upgrading right now from let's say from selfie to duo and further on into the process. I don't know yet.
And that's where you need to focus, because you told us just a second ago, where does most of your prospects come from?
Organic.
Organic. That means you got an organic machine in the background. Means people are talking and so on. So you need to find customers who are not only talking about you, but who are buying more seats from you. If you double that seats, triple your seats, that's where your growth is. Now I looked at your numbers, and if they can put up the numbers, look at marketing. Like, folks, I don't know if you realize, this dude with the wonderful hair has secured 642 people with 3 people on staff. 3. This is as scalable as I've ever seen something. You're just sitting there, raw energy, and I look at your numbers, $27 spent on entertainment. Can we talk about Dutch cheap? You permanently went Dutch, right? So officially it was $50. Right?
Correct.
Okay, so my point is you're just underspending there. You need to start thinking more about your marketing. Your marketing needs to be focused on people generating more revenue from existing subscribers. So not new subscribers, growth from your existing subscribers. That to me is where your speed comes from. That will start growing your revenue. Then as a second, as your companies come in, as they keep coming at a high speed, you need to increase the speed from that. So I like 1100. I like the growth from 7 to 1100. I just want you to figure out how we're going to get to 2,000 to 3,000. Because if you have so much energy going on, that's where the growth is at in a market like this.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks.
So have you tested that before? I mean, to Jaco's point, on your pricing page, you upsell based off number of social profiles. There's no upsell based off number of seats. There's no enterprise sort of motion there. Have you tested that motion before?
No, not really. What people do is they have a couple of social profiles or seats they're using, and once that's filled up, they start reaching out to us to add more seats, and then the sales process starts. But there's no real process that we have in place there right now.
Yeah.
Jaco, what change would you make to really systematize that?
Okay, I would of course add a person to do that, or at least a program, but I add some automation to it. And here's why. That's profit that's being generated. That new upsell, cross-sell comes at a fraction of whatever it took you to get there. And so you're forgoing your profit right now because you're not upgrading to multiple seats. And so what you'll see is your marketing spend can't go to that. You already cut down on marketing because you got good flow on the inside. So now spend more money on growing that revenue because it's gonna double, triple pay you back. With so many few people and so much clients that you have, it just feels like we need to A/B test that and get that operational as quick as possible.
Sounds good.
What do you think?
It sounds good. I think you're right. You're spot on. I think we should grow much more from our current user base to add many more seats to upgrade their plans.
Now, I mean, go ahead, Jaco.
On the churn, I want you to start recognizing as best as you can what are the reasons for churn. Okay, and I want you, and this is a sentence I want you to ask your customers if you meet them. And I want every listener to the studio to write this sentence down. Everybody who's listening to the broadcast, write this sentence down. You want to always ask your customers, when you originally bought pepper, you bought it to do, finish that sentence. However, after using us for 6 months, you see that we help you with. These are 2 indicators of the impact you provide, and they will become the cornerstone that you're going to drive all your other customers around and say like, hey, have you seen what other customers are using this for? The sentence is, when you originally bought us, you bought us to help you with. Having used this for 6 months, you really notice that we help you with. Those 2 give you the impact of your solution, and that's how you're going to turn up the increase in sales. Go ahead, Nathan.
Well, no, Jaco, I just want to say great advice. If people want to learn more from you online, where can they find you?
They can find me on winningbydesign.com, and with such a unique Dutch name, similar to Jurk, just type in Jaco and sales, and there will be a phenomenal amount of information casting all over you. All
right, Jaco, thanks for bringing the energy, man. Appreciate the advice. Hey, you think Jurk's going to get a deal that he likes here?
He is Dutch, and I know that he will get what is best for. He will be able to make ends meet. I know that he will find. He will find something that is worth on it. But for me, I want to challenge the buyers this week. If you look at this business, this feels like there's a lot of power underneath this engine that is currently underutilized and underleveraged.
Jaco, thanks so much, man. I appreciate that. Jörg, any thoughts there? Anything? I mean, you've obviously have limited resources, so you can't test every suggestion you get. But I imagine if you download your current paying customers and look at their email address, you probably have a lot of like at Pepsi or at big name brand that you could go upsell to, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And guys, once you understand what your sales motion looks like, and you know you can pay $1 to get another $1 of ARR, you're seeing a lot of founders that understand these metrics go take money from Founder Path. And so my question for you guys, I love your answers. Why are SaaS founders taking so much money from founderpath.com without giving up equity? You might see why from the calculator on the homepage. Jörg, our next expert that I want to introduce you to is with Contact Elect, his first time on the show. Mark, welcome to Deal or Bust. How are you?
Hey, Nathan. Hey, Jörg.
Hi,
Mark,
Well, thanks.
good to see you. So since this is your first time on, let me give you like a nice warm welcome here. So co-founder at Content Elect, he's also an AE at Outbrain and a PM at Rocked, obviously 2 massive success stories. So Mark, what's your skill set? What are you best in the world at?
Basically, we help SaaS companies position themselves through content, specifically their blog content, and try and help them turn their blog into an inbound marketing machine.
So same question to you for Jörg. What is Prepper.com doing well in terms of content, and what's the biggest lever they could pull that would make the biggest impact?
Okay, so I think you've got a really strong domain here, Jörg. I mean, you've built up a really powerful site with a lot of clout. So it's got a DR of 53, which is considered to be pretty powerful. It's got a lot of really high quality referring domains. But I think where you're leaving money on the table is on your blog. And there's a few things there. First of all, I think although the content you have on the blog is of a high quality and it's very well written and structured, there's not quite enough blog content coming through the blog. So from what I can see, you're putting out 2 or 3 posts a month. And I would say if you really want to get serious about blogging, you probably need to double that output and get it to 4 to 6 at minimum. And I say that because the space that you're playing in has a huge opportunity to rank for a range of different keywords across all of those 3 social platforms that you're selling into: Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So what I wanted to ask is, who writes your blog content and how many people write it?
We write our blog content ourselves, and there's one person doing this also as a freelance work that posts content to our blog. And we get tons of requests from guest bloggers to put content on it, but mostly we do it ourselves via, for me, example, or the freelancer we're using.
And those of you joining real quick, so you can follow along with this discussion with Mark, he said a DR of 53. What that means is that's your domain rating of 53. And it's essentially Google's way of saying how strong your domain is, how valuable it is in terms of showing in search results. We use Ahrefs to look at a lot of this stuff. I'm sure Mark has his favorite tool as well, but just understand that as Mark gives additional feedback here on content strategy. So Mark, what keywords should he go after?
So Nathan, I had a look at a few, and I mean, there are a lot of keywords that have high difficulty scores and are going to be relatively hard to rank for, but there's a whole swathe of them that sit further down with lower volumes, which I think Jörg, with the site he has, could actually easily rank for them if he writes a good piece of content and gets a few backlinks to that content. So for example, one of them is how do I get 10,000 followers, and that's currently got a search volume of just over 1,000 monthly searches, and it has a keyword difficulty score of 11, which is relatively low. And I'm bullish that if they wrote a piece of content at least 1,000 words long that was properly optimized and well written, that they could get that to rank on the first page of Google with maybe 1 or 2 backlinks pointing to the article.
Mm-hmm. Mark, another question for you. A lot of people when they write content, they think they always have to put out new content, and they don't think about looking what they already kind of rank for and going and improving old content. When we do that kind of analysis here on Prepper.com, you see he already ranks for some high volume keywords. Now, it's not a great ranking, but at least you're in the conversation, right? So see here, best times to post on Instagram, you're ranked 64, so it's not going to bring you any traffic because it's you're on the 7th or 8th page, but huge volume. Mark, if you were going to go in and update this post to try and get up from 64 to 20 and then to 10 and to 3, 2, 1, what would you go do to this post?
Yeah, so there's a few things. I would probably have a look at that post and see what the primary keyword it's ranking for is, and also then see if there are any other semantically related keywords that you can go after. And you must remember that this is a constant state of flux. It's an evolution. It's changing all the time. So one needs to be doing this on a monthly or at least quarterly basis. And if there are some additional keywords that are related to the primary keyword, bake those into the content. And by doing that, you expand your organic reach, because now you don't just have the search volume of one keyword, but you have the cumulative search volume of many. The second thing I would do is look at, how many backlinks are pointing to that article. So, for example, I saw an article that you guys are ranking for. I think you're in 6th position at the moment. But I think you could probably get up to position 1 or 2 if you had at least 2 or 3 backlinks pointing to that article. So what I mean by that is other sites having, sending a link directly to that article. And at the moment, that particular blog post doesn't have any backlinks. And I think that's why it's currently in 6th position and not in, position 1, 2, or 3.
Jörg, before we wrap up with Mark, any questions for him on these tactics?
I think it makes sense in this case. We have to, it should improve our position much further if we start investing more in content, relevant content for our audience, and I think also in doing some additional work on getting let's say backlinks from our existing content to start ranking better.
Mark, thanks for coming on, man. If people want to follow you more and follow you online, where can they go?
They can just go to contentelect.com. That's contentelect.com.
All right, Mark, I appreciate that. Jörg, again, as startup founders, we get tons of advice, and in our minds, we're always thinking, okay, I get it, but I don't have unlimited money to go pay for people to write posts and run all these tests. So obviously, you have to prioritize. You mentioned you pay a freelance writer. How do you pay that freelance writer?
We look at what keywords, for instance, or what the content is interesting for our audience, and then we do some keyword research, and then we decide on what topic she will write about, and then she started building a blog post around that, and it takes about a week to create one in the whole process.
So you pay per post?
We pay per post. We pay $90 per post.
90 per post. Very good. Well, guys, if you're just tuning in, you're watching Deal or Bust. We're here with a very exciting founder in Jörg. He's launched a company called Prepper, obviously highly dependent on the social APIs. But if you've got an in with the APIs, he's adding value to customers by helping them schedule and plan their social media content across Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We've got 4 buyers we're about to bring back on, but this is the fun part of the show. They've got the data. Jörg's a tough guy. Let me look at that here. This is a tough guy, so he's going to want to get a good deal here. We're going to see if we can make a deal happen. But again, to root Jörg on, guys, and if you want to see the next part of the show, we'll dive a little bit into additional questions from the buyers before they make deals. Go ahead and show Jörg some love. Root him on. Hit the like button here on YouTube, or if you're watching on another platform, retweet, like it, comment, etc. And if we hit 50 people liking it here on YouTube, we will do this again next week. The Shark Tank for SaaS. It's called Deal or Bust. And I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. Girish Kadal in the comments. Daniel Kempe fired a quick question at you, Jörg. He said, do you have legitimate access to the Instagram API?
Yes, we do have.
Why does he ask that?
There are 2 ways to do this. We do. There are quite some companies out there that don't have a legitimate access to the API, and they do it in other ways to get to the publishing part of Instagram. We work with the official API, and we have another solution for the publishing part itself.
Very cool. Well, before I bring the buyers back on in about 25 seconds here, I want to encourage you guys, if you're watching right now and going, I'd love to sell my company, one tool you should check out is Hello Exit. They have a valuation tool that lets you plug in some numbers and they'll spit out a valuation based off buyers they've worked with in the past. You can check them out by going to helloexit.com/tools. We'll put that link in the chat right now so you can check it out. And then lastly, Jörg, we obviously put these slide decks together. The first 5-10 slides that you guys saw were actually created by a great company. They're called SlideBean. And the reason I love SlideBean, they ranked #1 on product Shark Tank, they did a launch. They help put pitch decks together. So if you're raising capital or putting a deck together to explain it to a co-founder, they've created thousands of pitch decks, and they've also analyzed over 1,000 historical pitch decks from Airbnb, Zoom, other big SaaS companies, and broken down why they work. So you can get that information by going to slidebean.com/Latka for anything related to slides and pitches. All right, Jörg, give us a quick take in terms of what's going through your head right now. We're about to bring the buyers back on. Do you think you're going to get a good offer?
If they're wise, I think so. Yeah, we've done quite some stuff with microacquiring, and a lot of people reached out, and and I think you've got some intelligent people in the show. So let's go.
All right, let's bring them all back. We got Akil, Preston, Michael, and Sujin. So guys, we're going to spend the next 4 to 5 minutes. You can ask any final questions that you thought of during that break to Jörg related to his financials, and then it's deal time. You guys will either decide if you want to make an offer or exit out and state why you're not interested. So Michael, let's go to you first. Any last questions?
Yeah, I actually had a technical question on your product, on the product side of things. And without getting too deep into the weeds here, Jörg, I was wondering how your carousel posting works. Does that require the use of the mobile app as well, or are you able to do that strictly via the web app?
You can do it both via our iOS app and web app. So it's both.
And does it send out a notification to the mobile app, or is it able to get around that?
We've been able to get around that, but people can choose if they want to do it with a notification or they want to do it automatically. So they can do it either way.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, welcome.
All right, Sujin, any last questions on your end?
Yeah, I might have missed this. What do you want out of this financially? Is there a number you have in mind?
Yeah, so we've got we put this on a microacquirer, and we got around 25, a little bit more, 27 people reaching out, and there was quite some interest. We put it on microacquire for 350K, and I think there's quite some interest to do this. And but we're also always looking for more buyers that have a great fit with us.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sujin, is that number scary? 350?
It seems like that's like 3.5x. Is that what that is of the revenue? No, I mean that's not scary. That's market for what I would look at in FE International, Microacquire, kind of other places. So
Well, Akil and Preston just shit themselves, so they're going, no way I pay 3.5x for that. I'm just kidding. All right, Jörg, tell us real quick. So would you, just to understand, because they're thinking about deals right now, do you want to sell 100% of this thing, or would you stay on? Would you want to keep some portion of it?
So initially, we just want to sell and move away and hand over the business in a certain period of time. It depends on what the buyer can bring to the table, and if they can bring added value, and if there's a need and added value for us, or one of us, to stay on. We're three. There are 2 engineers on it, and myself. So it depends a bit on the buyer if there's a sort of fit to make a combination or not.
Okay, Akil, any last questions on your end?
Yeah. So I love the challenge from Jaco. I want to, he sees the engine under the hood. So question on the technology. So you have a claim here: learn best times to post from our real-time AI engine. What is the tech based on, and what data are you using to train your AI? You mentioned.
That's quite a big technical question. I'm not capable of answering exact all the stuff there. But what we do is of all the users that are going through our platform, we gather all the data of all the posts and do our analysis with it to see what brings in and at what time brings in the most engagement, depending on what area people are located, what time they post, and also what type of content they post. So based on that, we do all sorts of data analysis and depend on a real time base what brings in the most engagement. But the best thing is to talk to one of our engineers also about that.
Yeah, okay. I had a question, Jörg, about the volume of posting. Do you guys have any data in terms of what that looks like? What is the frequency of posting, and what are the total numbers of posts that have gone through your system in the lifetime of the company?
In the lifetime, I'm not sure right now, but I can find it up. But the last 30 days, there were around 18,000 publications posted through Prepper.
Across how many accounts?
So that's let's say that's around 600. I think around 800 accounts.
Okay, so you have 650 paid, and if 800 accounts posted 18,000, that means you got a free tier where people are posting as well.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
I see. Okay, good. Let's wrap up here. Last questions. Preston, anything on your end?
Yeah, I just wanted to get a feel for the labor cost. So you've got yourself, the 2 engineers, and then you had a line item for labor costs in the P&L. Just get a sense of what those payments look like today, so I can kind of understand what replacement costs will look like. Yeah,
so there are no payments. We don't. So there's in our P&L. There's no for myself or Eric or Ilko that are doing the engineering. We do this as I mentioned on as a more or less as a side project. So we don't get paid on a monthly base for that. There's no expense in the P&L around those people.
So the line item for labor costs, then what is that like in January and May?
In May, so in May the labor costs were $4,278. In January it was around $7,000 because at that time Eric, one of the engineers, was paid out of Prepper. But in the rest of the months there was no labor cost. So we sometimes hire some iOS expertise, and we pay her on a project base. But so if Eric does this permanently, we pay him around $6,000-7,000 a month.
So Preston, does that, just to summarize that, right? So they've got on and off talent, right? That's helping with this. Elena is an iOS developer at $4,200 a month. Did that answer your questions on?
Yeah, about as best as it probably can in this scenario.
I mean, can you try and paint this picture? If someone bought this company today, how much would they have to dedicate to labor to not like to maintain, just at least maintain it where it currently is?
To maintain this, you need at least one engineer or somebody with engineering background to do the maintenance of the project of the product. So the iOS plan has been developed on Swift on a Swift base. That's being outsourced to Elena. She's doing the iOS work only on a project base. On the rest is the technology stack is also in the slides there, but it's based on Redux. And so you need somebody with a bit of engineering background to do the maintenance with it. And
Great.
So, and if you do that, yeah, so it will be, I think the labor cost for, as we did it in January, it was about $6,000.
All right, guys. So buyers just snuck in sort of their last questions here. You guys are looking at the P&L right here. The company was launched in 2017. It's called Prepper. You're watching Deal or Bust, where Jörg, the founder, has come on to see if he can get a deal for his company. They've got 650 customers paying to use his tool to post and schedule posts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It looks like the company last year did about $96,000 in sales. This year, currently doing about a $10,000 a month run rate, so on track to do $120,000. However, there's been questions about the expenses, right? What expenses would a buyer actually have to account for if they own the company, and where would they take the product? Jörg is looking to sell 100% of the company because he and his founders have other products they want to go build on. It's now time to go back to the buyers here and ask them if they're in and want to make an offer or if they're out. Before we do that, though, audience participation, baby. This is like the American Idol, text in your vote. Who sung the best? Guys, what are you thinking? Do you think Jörg gets an offer here? And what would you value the company at? Again, 120,000 top line. Profitable Jörg right now, but if you were going to pay a developer full-time, you'd be about break even, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. Correct.
Yeah. So break even company, social media space, mini version of Hootsuite, Buffer, and later. What would you guys value the company at? Jörg, while they're typing that in, any last things you want to make sure these buyers understand before they get into offer mode?
I think for especially on the strategic side, I think we're interesting product also for companies that want to get a foot on the European ground, and I think we're strong there, especially in Germany. So I think that's an interesting product. And there are tons of opportunities to improve the product. As I said, we do this as a side product, so we don't spend all the time continuously on growth and engagement and lowering churn. So I think there are huge opportunities with the product.
All right, Preston, let's go to you first. Since you got the last round of questions, we'll go to you first in terms of the deal. So do you want to make an offer here, or are you out? And if you're out, why?
So I think for me, I'm out, unfortunately. Congrats to you. I think you've actually built a pretty good product and have got, between the strategy you mentioned and then the experts came on as well, I think you've got a good path if you don't get a deal today. But for me, I think just the replacement cost and making this a profitable play over the next 3 to 5 years is definitely a challenge. So for me, yeah, I'm out.
All right, Preston, thanks. Akil, let's go to you. Do you like the product? What do you like best about the business? And do you want to make an offer, or are you out? And if so, why?
Yeah, sure. So I do like the product, but with the business, it's a little worrying. So there's 3 people managing it part-time. Probably let's combine and say it needs 1 full-time operator there. My thinking, somebody with a tech background and maybe a solo operator. This is their first time deal, first time acquisition, and they want to manage this full-time. High churn, not much growth, and obviously with the risk of the API and your marketing hasn't proved out with the Google AdWords yet. I don't think we can make an offer here today from our end.
Jörg, you want to counter anything Akil just said?
I cannot look in his position. I think I understand the point, but I still think it's a good product with the limited time we spend on it. There's still some growth in the growth in it. I think we grow at this point is a 3% MRR growth rate. I think if you need to spend some time and money on it to make it to build it further into this market. But I appreciate the time and the thoughts around it.
All right, Akil, thanks. We've got 2 buyers out. We've got 2 buyers left. One is Sujin. He's done 7 acquisitions in the past, really around the side between 100 and sort of $1 million in terms of ARR. We've also got a strategic buyer on, Michael, with Later.com, which is a competing product, but is at a much later stage in life relative to where you're currently is. Let's start off with strategic. Michael, analyze this business for us. Is it interesting for you or not?
Well, I think you've got some traction here, so it demonstrates that that your customers are seeing value. I think the challenge for me is twofold. One is from a later perspective, what's the overlap in product, and are you guys basically doing what we're doing? So I'd have to take a closer look at the actual product to determine if there's additional technology and functionality that we don't have natively. And then the second challenge, I think, is the need to demonstrate some growth. I actually like the fact that you have organic growth. I think that's a good sign, but I'd like to see that growth number go up. And I think that right now it's pretty early on, and so if we were to make an offer, it would probably be below your expectations. But would like to look at this perhaps once you've demonstrated that you can achieve that growth. If you can get to a where you're doubling the business on an annual basis at that level, so like 6% monthly growth, I think that would demonstrate that you've got a committed organic growth strategy, and then you could probably hone your paid strategy and refine your content marketing strategy and add to that growth on top of that. But I think I think for us it's a little early on to be honest.
Jörg, anything you want to add on?
I understand that it's early on for later. I think it's quite interesting for later, especially to see that quite some of our customers that are coming from later. So that's always good to assess what's happening there. I think for them. As I said, we want to move away from this business. So we will not be equipped ourselves to go into this growth path unless we get a buyer that assists us with this process. Then we might be looking at that. So I think it would be much better for later to look at the business right now if they want to do something with it and not waiting until it's further down the line and when it's also more expensive.
Michael, before we go to Sujin, again, you said there are some things you value here. The organic growth is interesting. You also brought up some concerns related to tech overlap and things like that. And you said, if you were going to make an offer, it might be offensive. This is a live show, so offensive is very good. What's the offensive offer?
I think I would probably think in the range of like 150, 200.
And for the reasons you've already described related to the concerns?
Yeah, and we would be willing to take a closer look, and maybe we're overlooking some of the technology, and would consider that as part of the conversation. But I think that's where we stand right now.
Sujin, where's your head at?
Michael. Yeah, Michael. So I got questions for Michael first. Sorry. Would this change if Jurg had 100,000 users? Forget the revenue. Like, is that something you guys would acquire? Like, not technology, but just users.
Yeah, so you're thinking about the kind of freemium free users as a add-on to the users?
Well, that, and also, Jurg has 1,000, 1,100 new trials coming in the door. Is that a value if that was a bigger number?
It would certainly be something we would look at. The question would be like, are they, when they come to the service, are they what are they looking to achieve, and are they looking to achieve the sorts of things that Later can achieve? In which case, that would obviously be of value. But if they're looking for something else that is not in line with our business, it would reduce the value of that user base. But a big number of qualified users is definitely something of value to us.
Got it. Yeah. So the reason I asked that is, like, I see that if I was looking to buy this thing, I've got the potential acquirer on my hand in the room. So that's why I want to point out questions to you. So thank you. Appreciate that. So I guess my answer here, Jurg, is I will pass as well. And it's not for the reasons that the other folks have passed. It's actually very different. I think you're sitting on something very close to growing it with a significant gain in value. You're just not spending it on the right things, to be frank. I saw Jocko and the other folks talk about marketing. Just go do some link building. I mean, in 5 minutes, I already saw like 50 people you can ping to get a link, and increase your rankings to get that 1,100 number, maybe to 1,500 to 2,000. Get the conversion up from 5% maybe to 10%. I know it's definitely possible. I personally am not too concerned about the churn 7% social media SMB space. That, I mean, there's maybe some optimization, but I don't want to buy your business, because I think you should just go spend the 50K on your business, or go get money from Nathan's Founder Path company. Go get 50K, 100K from there. Like, no plug, but like, go get 100K, go spend it all on marketing, and then go back to Michael and say, hey, we've got 5,000 users coming a month, 3,000 users a month at 10% churn. 10% conversion rate. Is this interesting, right? So I think there's a path to get to 2-3x the business revenue, or at least a potential a larger exit just right around the corner. So
yeah, I think that's.
I don't want to take from you.
Okay, thank you. Makes sense.
All right, Sujin, appreciate that. So, Michael, just go back to you real quick, and then I'll summarize the offer, and then Jurg will have to make a decision. I think we might have a hint of what he's going to say. But when a company like Later, is obviously scaling, right? So you guys are 190 employees. Again, I know you're well north of where you were 2-3 years ago at 50K a month in revenue because of the employee growth. When you look at buying companies at this stage, and I think you're the first head of corporate BD there, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's clearly you were brought in for a reason. Go find sort of assets like this. What sort of sector do you look at acquisitions for? Is it acquiring new technology? Is it acquiring smart people? So you're actually sort of a quasi recruitment arm. Is it acquiring cash flows from another business? What's the main filter you look at acquisitions through?
Yeah, I would say it's less about the cash flow. Our cash flow is actually pretty healthy right now, but the things we're working hard at are growing our team. So as you mentioned, we're growing quickly. So that's in terms of customers and revenue, but also in terms of headcount. So we're doubling our headcount every year. So if we can find smart engineers and talented people, that's definitely something we look at. If a company has built technology, particularly in the mobile space, also something we would look at. So Jurg, if this doesn't work at this time, we should definitely keep in touch. And I'd love to have a closer look at what you guys are doing on mobile. There might be an opportunity there. So it's technology, it's team, it's less about revenue. It's about customers. If we can upsell your customers to our service, that's also something we would look at. But those are the things that we're really focused on. And also anything on the mobile front that would help us advance our mobile efforts would be of value as well.
Interesting. Jurg, you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks, Michael. I really understand your point. As you said, if revenue is not a real issue, then if we can finalize stuff, then around 350K, that would be fine. No, I understand. So I think we're on the engineering and the technology point. We're quite well positioned. I think it would make sense to discuss that in a later stage, also to see where we can bring added value to the table, also for later, and maybe there's a fit there. On the pricing, yeah, as mentioned, we got quite some offers also via microacquire. So for us, it makes sense to follow up on that first, then pick this deal right now. I really appreciate the feedback around this, and I think it would make sense to stay in contact and see where we can maybe add value in a later stage to you, or vice versa.
Absolutely.
So Jörg, just to summarize, we can wrap up. Those of you just joining again, you watched Jörg come on, be very vulnerable, put all of his numbers up for the world to see, which Jörg, that's not easy to do. So thank you for being so vulnerable and doing that. We learned from two experts, 4 buyers throughout. You said you've got $350,000 offers via microacquire already, which is a tool that founders can use to sell without any broker's fees. Highly recommend it. Michael has said, listen, there's a lot of questions here. Obviously, the organic is interesting. When we pressed him for an offer, he said, listen, it's probably offensive, but something around $150,000 for 100% of the company. That's the offer. It's decision time. Do you want to take the offer or not?
I will pass on the offer right now, but I really appreciate that you were taking time and looking serious at this business, and I would really would be glad to stay in touch to see where we can add value later in the stage, but not now.
Absolutely, let's do that.
Thanks for coming on, Michael. All right, so there you have it. Where's your head at right now? Is that what you expected?
Yeah, absolutely. But I really loved it. What's interesting was the first time I did something like this, and so I think you have a great concept running here, and I've got some really valuable feedback also from the experts, and also why the buyers, for instance, passed on the deal. So it's really useful for me. So I really love it.
So now that I have no competition, I'm going to make an offer. Is that okay?
You're going to offer. You're going to okay.
Now that I have no competition, can I make an offer?
Sure, go ahead.
All right. So here's my question to you. To Sujin's point, if you had right now an extra $50,000, how much new MRR do you think you could drive with that if you had 50 grand today?
I would spend it, as like Jacco said and Sujan, on the organic traffic, so on organic audience. Sorry, I'm not sure. I need to calculate that. I'm at the top of my head. I think we will gain around 150 monthly users to it.
How many?
150 additional.
150 new paid customers per month, or new trial?
Yeah, I think around 150 paid.
Okay, and average price point is $16, right?
Yeah, right.
150 a month times 16 is $2,400, and new monthly recurring revenue is what you think you could drive if you had 50 grand extra in the bank right now.
I think so, but I really need to make the calculation. I'm not sure.
So let me do this calculation live with you, because it's the exact calculation that we're encouraging founders to think about at founderpath.com. If we put 50 grand into this calculator right here, which is what, again, let's say that we loaned you $50,000, it's not equity. Do you see this question right here? If you look at the loan terms, right, so your repayment would be $66,000 over a 4-year period, which means your monthly payment is $1,300, which means if you feel like you could take 50 grand today and add 150 new customers each month, right, investing this capital, which is essentially $2,400 a new MRR, that more than almost double covers the payment of the 50 grand today. So you then build your company without giving up equity. You get an extra cash slug to work with. Is that a sort of deal that you would look at?
It is a deal that I could look at, but then I really would also get somebody on more on a growth expert to help me with making the right decision on this spending this $50,000.
Very good. Well, we'll chat about it offline, Jörg. I appreciate you coming on and being so vulnerable. Thanks for coming on Deal or Bust.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, those of you watching, what'd you think? We just wrapped up 12:14 p.m. East Pacific Standard Time here. You guys were a great audience. Martin Giresh in the comments, Mike Webster in the comments, Joey Davidson. Great stuff. What do you guys think? Do you think he should have taken the deal from Michael? 150K. It's essentially 1x. It's essentially 1x. So you work your whole, you work 3 years of your life building something. You take 1x. Should he taken the deal from Michael or not? Romain said, Nathan's going way too fast. I appreciate your pushing back gently. Romain, what do you mean I'm going too fast? We don't have time to waste. Fast is important. Calvin saying, good show, Nathan, good stuff. Well, guys, again, I appreciate all of you guys tuning in. The show obviously is not possible without you guys asking great questions. And obviously, again, we do this every Thursday. I see we got a lot of great engagement on YouTube. Again, this was a company called Prepper. Here's their P&L on the screen right now. And I want to encourage you guys, again, if you enjoyed the content, you want to watch next week, be sure to go to subscribe here on YouTube, nathanlatka.com/YouTube subscribe. Here's the teaser for next week. The company's a podcast. It's a podcast focused on developers and a newsletter and a blog, and they do $90,000 a month in sales. It's a one-man guy in a San Francisco room, kind of like this, with all this equipment set up. He's printing money on an ad basis. It's going to be a very interesting deal next week because I'm inviting people on like Morning Brew, like The Hustle, like Sid who's the CEO of GitLab. They've raised $400 million, over 120 million in ARR. It's potentially acquisition for them because he's a distribution channel. So it would be a great deal. I don't want you guys to miss it. Go ahead and click subscribe now on YouTube. And in the meantime, again, thank you guys all for watching Deal or Bust. I'm Nathan Latka. I'll see you next week.